Welcome to beautiful Kentucky Speedway. This is SRN President Jonathan Byer with you this evening. We are in tap for a great race tonight. This is the last race of the Season 7 HairClub Truck Series regular season. This is a non-droppable race. So everybody here, this race will count for points. And speaking of points, let's take a quick look at what that looks like. This is what we have going into this evening. The top 8 drivers there on the left-hand side of your screen, they are in with a win. You see the asterisk there next to Jeffrey Radke's name. That is there because you have to participate in at least 12 races for that win to count. He currently had 11, but he's in the field tonight, so he will be in. Drivers in that middle column, this is where it gets interesting. Those are your cut line drivers this evening. You can see the positions to the cut line that they are as far as how many points. It gets real tight there around 14th, 15th, and 16th. So that's where we're going to be keeping an eye tonight. And then on that right-hand side of the screen, from Wally Babb down to Corey Stahl, that's where those guys are going to need help or more likely a win this evening to make it into the top 15. The top 15 drivers do set the initial round for the playoff field. But we will be having a 16th driver join the playoff field next week. So we have something called the Last Chance Qualifier. The highest finishing driver next week, or we're off next week, but the next race rather, that's not already in the playoffs will receive that 16th and final playoff spot. They do carry no bonus points into the playoffs, so there'll be a slight disadvantage there, but they'll be in. And all you have to do is be in to win. All playoff rounds do assume the same format where if you win, you advance. The 3 rounds of playoffs we have are going to be very exciting races. We'll get more into the schedule and all that later this evening when we have a few moments. But once again, here's your look at the points. This is where things currently stand. All your drivers in the green are in tonight. To the first round of the playoffs no matter what. The middle column is where points could matter, and the right column is pretty much your must-win territory. Won't be the last time we reference this graph as we go through tonight. We'll definitely keep an eye on things as we go. The field is getting gridded up. We will allow them to get their places on the starting grid. Again, SRN President Jonathan Byer here with you tonight. I am solo this evening, so I'm going to be relying on some of the help of my drivers within the field. So we'll be popping into some in-car cameras and get some in-car commentary. Some drivers have said it's okay if we even do that under the green flag. So you're going to get an interesting look into everything Speed Racing Network this evening. So everybody's filing in. This is a great chance for us to go ahead and take a look at the starting grid. This is what we have this evening. James Shainwolf has taken that pole position. Jeffrey Vickery will start outside first row. Connor Cunningham, Drake Carty, row number 2. Jeffrey Radke, Sean Long, row number 3. Lane Doyle, Daniel Park, row number 4. Sean Woodside, David Flanagan round out the top 10. As we continue to work through this list a little bit, some highlights we'll point out. Drivers kind of in that must-win territory like Dalton McKinney start 11th. Sean Corcoran in 15th. You have other drivers near the back of the starting grid here that they're going to need everything to go their way this evening for them to have a chance in the playoffs. But for a vast majority of what's out there currently in the top 10 are drivers that are pretty much already in. So that obviously limits the chance that one of those guys that needs that win to get in can get it. Keep an eye on how that develops. We'd like to thank a couple of our partners here at Speed Racing Network before we get started. In the upper right-hand corner of the broadcast all evening, you'll see Premier Racing Setups. They are the season-long official setup provider of Speed Racing Network. They are the longest-running setup shop on iRacing. They offer different options to help take your sim racing career to the highest levels of iRacing. With over 50,000 customers worldwide, they have everything in all the tools you need to compete with the best sim racers. You can use code SpeedRacingNetwork15 to save 15% on your Premier Racing setups order. On the bottom left corner on that, you'll see admin box. They are built by iRacers for iRacers to make race control as easy as possible. They easily connect via USB. Have a bunch of pre-programmed commands, so you don't know. If you don't know how to keybind, you're good to go. Just press some buttons. And it's backlit. Makes everything really easy to use. You can use code SRN-box, it's BOXX, to save 10% on your order from admin box. So, the field is filing out. They'll do just one quick pace lap, and we'll get this thing underway. Again, tonight we got a lot of things we'll be talking about. We'll be talking about points. We'll be talking about wins. We'll actually address a little bit about the team championship as well, which has had some interesting developments over the past couple of weeks. We'd like to thank you for joining us this evening. Please remember to like, subscribe. You will not want to miss any of the postseason Speed Racing Network action we have coming your way this season. Pace car is going to dive into the safety of the pit lane, where we hope it spends a lot of time this evening. The field is going to be in the hands of James Shainwolf as we get started here for 95 laps at Kentucky. Drag race to the line on lap 1. Connor Cunningham will lead lap number 1. He got underneath James Shainwolf early. They race heavy into turns 1 and 2. Shainwolf with that preferred second groove there on that seam will pull just ahead. Connor now battling Carty for second. Connor rocking the all black Advantage Marketing and Management Chevy. Relegated back to third place. A driver who is on that cut line. You saw him, he was the first driver in. So a solid run tonight, theoretically, should get him in the playoffs. But if you win, there's no doubt about it. Carty now on the back bumper of Shainwolf. He wants a piece of this lead early. Talking to some of these drivers pre-race, we did gather that they can go 46 laps on a tank of fuel. So when you look at how long the race is, being 95 laps, you know, it's just more than a one-stopper, but who's to say you can't save early and do that? Kentucky in Speed Racing Network history has a large quantity of green flag races with very few cautions, so that is a possibility this evening. Good battle here for the lead, though, as Carty works to the inside of Shainwolf. He'll get that position getting into turn 3. You'll see kind of different approaches to running lines here at Kentucky. You do have some options. Both corners are completely different. Kind of have that darker seam in both corners, which could be a good reference on where you want to put your tires and what you want to do on entry. A little contact further back. That looked like Andrew Harris getting into the 45 of Sean Wood's side a little bit. They get straightened out. Andrew Harris, another driver that is locked in on wins, so he's in the playoffs, but definitely wants a good run to conclude his regular season. Maybe a chance to get some winnings to pay off any entries remaining on the season. Sean Corcoran works ahead just in front of him. Good start to the race for Sean. He's in the top 10. Just behind these guys, just maybe getting a touch of the outside wall, there's the 46 of Dalton McKinney, who is accustomed to winning quite a few races. Oh, a little contact there with the 45. Here at Speed Racing Network, has not had the season he would like. He currently finds himself on the right side of that points graphic and losing spots here currently. But kind of the guy that we said if somebody had to win and get in, you don't look far from Dalton McKinney. Very capable of doing that here. But he's got a long way to go working from P14 currently. Back up front, these two battled it out, but Shainwolf's not letting Carty get away. Just keeping close enough to put a little pressure on that 59. You see him cutting the apron here. That's all legal. There's no out of bounds here. That yellow line is just a reference of where the banking drops. But you have all that space to use if you want it. You see a lot of them during qualifying cut that apron for a little bit of extra time. But you can do it in the race too, to break draft or what have you. Just got to be careful though, because when you rejoin the racing surface, it's the liability of the guy that's below that line to rejoin safely. It's his job to do such, and so that's just something to keep in mind here as we progress through this event. Pretty clean start to this race. Everything's pretty strung out throughout the field. Still a decently tight battle up front. More of the battling is going to be right here at Lane Doyle, Sean Corcoran, Andrew Harris, and this little gaggle trucks on the backside of the top 10. A mix of drivers in this little group here that are already in with wins. Lane Doyle, who's just trying to get a win tonight to improve his playoff seeding position from a bonus points perspective. He has more points than James Shane Wolf, but one less win, and so theoretically, if Lane wins tonight's race, he will move up as far as positioning and seeding, which is, it's never a problem to have more bonus points. You never know what might happen in the first round of the playoffs. Don McKinney back in picture here, Ben Park, Austin DeLong, Dylan Godinez all in this little grouping right here. This is a tight bunch. Kentucky being a mile-and-a-half track, you know, that's a place where these trucks can still benefit from the draft, so you'll kind of see them get in packs like this. It's not uncommon. Different lines, different banking, though, does generally lend itself to stringing the field out slightly, especially as the tires wear. This is a track that not super high when it comes to tire degradation, but it's definitely not easy on them either. It's more about how you drive the vehicle that determines how much those tires actually fall off. That'll be something to keep an eye on as we just see who comes and goes throughout the evening. Another look back up front here with the leader, Jake Carty rather. You just see oh, we got a yellow in the back. Dalton McKinney is involved in this. You grab a little idea. Looking there at the 23. Got Kalal, there's Dalton McKinney, and ooh, that truck is beat up. So we just talked about him needing a win. You see Sean Woodside rolling slow there on the top. See if we can grab a look here. Ooh, somebody got in the back of the 46, it looks like. And Lane Doyle gets a really big piece of that there, and you see Sean Woodside involved as well. See if we can grab another picture. Ooh, kind of looks like the 46 get crossed up off the corner, and the 47 was just there to meet him. Sean Woodside being the innocent bystander. It said Ben Park might have gathered a little contact here. Oh yeah, looks like he just gets in the back of the 45. Oh, okay, there's too much damage to that 17 truck. You'll probably be alright. Take another look at this here. Looks like the 46 gets a little light coming off the corner, maybe a little loose. Everybody just stacks up. Look at it here. Oh, there you see that little bit of contact to the right rear between the 46 and 47. And that explains why he got a little crossed up. Easy to do when you have a little bit of help. I think this would be the best look at it. Yeah, see that little contact there coming off the corner, and that's just kind of a racing deal there. Kind of what happens. So, meanwhile, we go back live to what's happening. Got some drivers on pit lane. Obviously, those that are getting some damage repair. Ben Park rolling by. Rolling by right there. Lane Doyle, Dalton McKinney, they remain on the pit lane currently. So they are still in this event. Sean Woodside in the 45. It looks like he may have retired. Gather more on that. at least has required repairs for sure. It's showing out on the scoring pylon, but we'll verify that that's correct. Of other drivers that pitted there that were not involved in that accident, that includes Jeffrey Vickery, Daniel Park, Sean Long, Andrew Harris, Dylan Godinez, Jason Kradke, Sean Merriman, and Chris Luttrell. So, you know, a little run there of 12 laps. So, a little decent green flag run there, but I wouldn't think enough to take tires. These guys do get 3 sets of tires, though. So, one usage is not going to kill them. It very likely, you know, of what we've seen so far, that this could go green. And we talked about 46 laps on fuel being the mileage. Well, that pit stop makes it a little bit more achievable now for those guys. So from Jeffrey Vickery on back, those are the guys that they're going to be a little bit better off when it comes to fuel. Now, these cautions do help guys that think they just need one stop. But will be interesting to see what Vickery, Harris, Long, Godinez, Merriman, what those guys do with 12-lap fresher tires, because that might make the difference. Drake Carty, he's still the one up front, and that's a common theme of the season, picking up right where he left off. Obviously not here last week, serving a one-race suspension due to race conduct. And he's coming back strong, and his familiar foe, James Shane Wolf, in lockstep with him once again. For those that didn't see the Watkins Glen race, that's a must-watch. Great battle between those two. Well, Carty will reset it. We'll take the green here on lap 15. 80 to go when we hit the stripe. To the Geico race start zone they go, and the green flag is back out in Kentucky. Three-way battle for the lead developing here. Connor Cunningham's poking his nose back in it. Not going to let these two just take the whole show, he says. Jeffrey Radke right behind him. First, we talked about him tonight. He's up in 4th. Little bit of gamesmanship here between the two, trying to break the draft. Good run by the 14 of James Shanewolf on the backstretch. Carty still reigns supreme. James a little bit higher line in the corner. He's going to have more momentum coming off the corner. Carty's still in control. Be interesting to see, obviously, how hard these guys fight it out with 78 laps to go. We do know clean air is king, though, so you can get that the nose of those Chevy Silverados in that clean air. That does make a difference, and that's something they're fighting for. Radke's way up the track right behind him. I would not think that was intentional. He does lose a spot to Flanagan. But he was way up the track in 3 and 4. And didn't look like there was any contact. Maybe just a slip up right there. But hey, get the slots back in line in 5th, and no harm, no foul. Battle developing just behind that. Ben Park, Sean Corcoran, Austin DeLong in tow. Watching this tight between the 17 and the 74. As they come off of 4. Kyle Johnson gets the outside wall a touch there. James Jackson, a familiar SRN driver. Just running a few handful of races here in the Truck Series this year. Making a one-off start tonight in the number 29. I think he's going to plan on running a few more of the races this season. So you'll see that 29 a little bit more. And he's currently running in the 10th position. Top 10-ish, kind of strong nose to tail. Little peaks here, little battles there. Battle here a little bit further back. Kyle Spees on the move. He's hunting Scott Kalal. We'll get by him and moving on. We talked about those drivers that came down pit road. Where are they? And they started about 20th to 24th. Those drivers that pitted. And really, they haven't gone much where, to be honest. Andrew Harris, the first of those guys, is up to 17th. It's just a couple laps in, though. We'll see how that develops. I need to exactly Tallman just so I get the wall a little bit on the entry. And onto it. Little battle here, 22:48, 74 involved in this little battle as well. James Jackson not leaving this little battle alone. And we're going to be 3 wide here on the front stretch, possibly for a second. Almost that way on corner entry, but the 48 reigns supreme. He'll move past both of these drivers. Joe Ruggles has come to the pit lane. Don't see any obvious concerns with the 96, but he's coming to the pit road for some service, I'd gather. We'll follow up on that. Hardy has stretched the lead out to the biggest lead we've seen all evening. About half a second between him and the 14, but things are heating up right behind him. Connor Cunningham, David Flanagan going at it. Flanagan still rocking the Biffle throwback, which he went to a week before the throwback race and just hasn't left it alone. And I don't blame him because he's been running pretty good with it. So if the paint works, you're just going to stay with it. Radke gets by Cunningham there for the 4th position. Move Radke up to P4. Radke drivers won a couple races, but hey, one more win can greatly improve his playoff seeding. And we know that bonus points matter big time, so we'll always take that. This little group of drivers back here, this battle's just not settled down. Kyle Spees is on his way up through these guys. And he's split in the middle of 3 wide right now. That's Sean Merriman on the bottom, who was that first driver out of the playoff cut line, who needs a good run this evening. Merriman currently running in the 10th position. He's going to need a little bit more than that, though, because remember, he's trying to gain 4 more points than the driver, the number 24, Connor Cunningham, is currently in 5th place. So theoretically, the 18 would have to beat the 24 by 5 spots, which currently not the way things fall right now, but hey, 70 laps to go, plenty of time for things to change. John Corcoran, Kyle Johnson, a little battle here. Here comes Merriman. When we talk about points, here's what we're talking about. Merriman 4 points off the cut line that's currently occupied by Connor Cunningham. And everything here is pretty tight. So that's what we're kind of going to be watching the course of the evening. We will promptly have the top 15 drivers right after this event. Points can be calculated rather quickly, and we'll get those up before we sign off this evening. So after the race, we'll do some interviews, and bear with us for 5 to 10 minutes, and we'll get those playoff standings updated for you and out there. So you know if your driver's in the playoffs already, or your driver has the possibility of running the last chance qualifier to get in as their 16th playoff driver next week. A little update for you on what's happening in the field. Sean Woodside, Dalton McKinney, they have retired from this event. Lane Doyle remains on the pit lane getting repairs from that early incident. Joe Ruggles, who we saw pull on the pit lane as well, remains there too. So if we gather more information on what's happening in those camps, we'll deliver that to you for sure. But so far, radio silence on that. Kentucky, a fascinating racetrack. I loved racing it when I had the chance here in Speed Racing Network. There's just so many different options available to run, and you know, corner entry is important, where you're getting in the throttle is important, but tire management always seemed to be the one that stuck out to me. And I think that's why you're seeing some comers and goers here, because Sean Merriman has been on a tear. He's actually up 19 positions from where he started this race, so he's been on a tear since the start. But just in this green flag run alone, I mean, we've seen him pass guys and pass them handily. He does have fresher tires on that machine. He did make that pit stop there, so that just kind of shows you tire advantage. But it's interesting. He's been the one that's been able to actually make it work, and we still see the other drivers that pitted, like Harris and Vickery, a little further back. So I'm starting to wonder now if those drivers were just a gas and go stop. Merriman's the one that took tires, and he's just trying to get on through there. Remember, you do lead a lap, though. If he gets all the way up there, that's a bonus point. So then he theoretically only has to beat Connor by 4 positions to gain that spot. So something we're going to have to keep track of as well, because the bonus points do matter. Remember, Connor, however, did lead that first lap, so I guess that doesn't actually make a big difference. But we'll see. I don't mind that strategy now, though. Like with the green flag field this race has, you know, the driver of the 18 might be onto something. Figure that out. Back up front, Drake Carty still about a half-second lead over Shane Wolf, and that camera that spans over the arc of the corner is a great view of your options. We talk about a lot of tracks we go to where you have multi-groove. You don't see people running the fence in Kentucky. That just doesn't happen here, but you know, the little half-lane differences between lines, whether your right sides are on that black or your left sides are on the black, or you're splitting that seam or whatever, that all can make a difference, and especially down here in turns 3 and 4, I find. And so you really have options, and that's what I really enjoyed about this racetrack as far as the raceability of it. Doesn't have the same appeal and allure that your Kansas speedways have, where you can rip the fence as well. But Kentucky, you know, a unique racetrack and a raceable track in its own right. Sad to see it sit dormant right now. Who knows? Racing might end up back there at some point. Battle's heating up for second. We've been talking about Merriman, and he's on his way. He has been tearing it apart. Just for reference, you know, the last time by, Shane Wolf ran a 31.81. Sean Merriman a 31.5. And so 0.3 of a second faster is that number 18. And he is flying up through there. So what all these drivers are doing now, they've gathered, okay, the 18 took some sires. You kind of log that for later in the race. Thinking, if it push comes to shove, and I have an extra set of tires, and I'm back near 20th, in roughly, you know, 20 laps, I can make it all the way up to the front, because that's what Merriman's done. So these drivers are smart enough; they're taking that mental note and might employ some of that strategy as we progress towards the end of this race. A little further back, we got some battle here. Flanagan, Radke. They've both gotten by Connor Cunningham. Currently runs 6th. Radke slowly making his way up. Flanagan up 6 positions from where he started. The biggest move of the race is Sean Merriman. He started in 24th and is currently 2nd. Little three-car battle here for 4th place is developing. You know, so we'll give you a good idea of really how you set up the passes here later in the run. T. Radke trying to get to the right rear of the 5, then into a great crossover and using that apron we talked about earlier in the show. Both getting all the way down to that yellow line throughout the corner. Radke exiting a little higher, able to develop a little bit more momentum that way, but that does come at a cost to the tires. So for the drivers that haven't pitted yet, with the caution laps we've had, they're roughly about 11 laps away from having to come down to the pit lane for service, which still cuts it really close to making it on that stop. So we'll have to talk to some of our drivers if we get the chance to get in car with them and see their thought process and know, are you trying to save? And one driver that sticks out to me with is the 24, who we saw a great pace early, but has since just kind of settled in right here behind this little group and kind of just making it work. I don't really think that maybe he's thinking about the saving out. And on board here with the driver of the number 24, Connor Cunningham. clutch and get in the corner, so he's not saving fuel that way, but definitely driving it nice and easy on throttle. Get a word from the driver, the number 24. Connor, you're in the booth. Talk to me. What are you thinking?
Just vibing right now. We only got like 12 laps left of this run, unless a caution comes out. So I'm chilling.
Are you thinking that stop's going to be the last one for you? Can you make it from there?
No.
So, also, Sean Merriman, your foe in points tonight, has already gotten up to the lead with that pit strategy he's played. Are you thinking about how you have to match that?
Not really. I'm just waiting to see how it happens. Anything could happen in pit stops. Like, he could get a black flag and I just ride it out to the end. So, we'll just see how the cards play out. So.
All right, good point. We'll check back in with you a little bit later, but good luck on your pit stop, and hopefully you come out nice and clean.
Alrighty, thank you very much.
Driver the number 24, Connor Cunningham there. A little bit of insight what he's thinking as we ride along with him. You heard him. Looks like they're going to be eyeing lap 52 for that pit stop. So that's what we'll keep an eye on. But while we were talking, I did mention Sean Merriman got to the lead. And that's the view he has now, which is the first time he's seen that tonight. And you see what fresh tires will do for you. And a little bit higher up the track. So, like I said, I like that strategy now because everybody's got to pit again for sure. And like I said, the green flag feel that Kentucky races can have, that I kind of like that move. We'll see how it plays out. And Connor brings up a great point there. Pit road, anything can happen. You know, you can speed, you can get enough unsafe entry, you can get some contact, you could spin getting onto the pit lane. A lot of things can happen. Green flag pit stops are kind of that wild card. We've seen that play a large role in how some of these races end up. So, good insight there by Connor Cunningham. Well, all the way the rest of the field, I mean, we're pretty spread out, clean, lean, and green. A little bit of battle here. A couple battles right here in this section. Ben Park, Austin DeLong battling here for 11th. Just behind them is the battle of Sean Corcoran and Wally Babb, which looks like it settled itself out. So now this is the battle here for 11th. That's the first one. First two-wide battle on the track. And the only two-wide battle on the track right now, it looks like. So roughly 5 laps away from those pit stops that we were talking about. So drivers kind of have to start thinking about positioning themselves. Jeffrey Radke, the first one down on the pit lane. The first one down. You know, definitely for sure, 49 laps remaining. You can go 46 on fuel. Ideally, obviously in the perfect scenario. So, he's going to need to save a little bit. All right. We got drivers coming down pit road now. David Flanagan's coming down pit road. Kyle Spees, Sean Corcoran, Scott Kalal, Andrew Harris. All these guys are coming down for some service. So far, it looks like everybody's made it on safely. No issues. Jeffrey Radke did make it on and off safely. All right, Drake Carty is coming in this time. See who else comes with him this time by. Or it's just the driver of the 59. Everybody that has pitted so far, in and off cleanly. No black flags, no spins getting in. Carty was the only taker of that lead group, and then behind him, quite a few coming down now. Sean Long, Chris Luttrell, Michael Seidor, Zach Tallman are coming to the attention of their crews. Shane Wolf is coming this time. Whoa! Little sideways getting in. Wait, that's not a speed. Doesn't look like it. He did keep it within the lines. Ben Park, James Jackson will follow him on the pit lane as well. This is right on the edge of that fuel window. This makes sense why this could be kind of that natural point. I imagine that Connor Cunningham, Dylan Godinez, Kyle Johnson, that group's going to be on rather shortly. Jason Kratke's going to come to the attention of his crew this time. A little sketchy there on entry. It's not the first time we've seen a truck do that, but looks like he makes it on safely as well. So that'll leave the top 8 drivers on the racetrack not pitting in this cycle. Sean Merriman has come down more recently than some of those drivers. It'll be interesting to see how long he stays out. And why I say that is because Sean Merriman last time by ran a 32.243 lap time. Jeffrey Radke, we saw in on tires last time, ran a 30.627. Second and a half faster on the new tires. And so Sean Merriman, by staying out there on the racetrack right now, is going to give up quite a bit of time. Kyle Johnson is coming down pit road this time. His crew. So what's interesting about that is, yes, Merriman jumped out to the lead, got to that position, and he's going to have to pit again, but he's going to have to make up a lot of time and pass a lot of trucks. Wally Babb, Austin DeLong coming down pit road this time. Everybody here obviously doing 4 tires and fuel. Like I said, right here on this edge of the window, fuel will get you there. Tires you just have to manage, and they should be just fine. Connor has run this a little long. We talked to him about coming down on lap 52, and he's just going to eclipse that by 1 lap, and he gets on pit road safely. That leaves Sean Merriman, Dylan Godinez, Dan Park, Jeffrey Vickery not pitting in this cycle yet to this point. So far, everybody that's pitted, though, has gotten on and off pit road without issue. No penalties, no spins, no contact. A great pit cycle so far. So we'll see how long these guys stay out here. Especially the 18. That's going to be the one to watch, just purely based on what we've seen. And here comes Mr. Daniel Park. Definitely maximizing his entry, but getting on safely. That leaves the top 3 without service at this point. The top 3, they all did come down on that first caution, though, so they are 12 laps better on the fuel mileage than the rest of those guys, so they can go longer, but how far do you go? Because they are all giving up a second and a half per lap in lap time, which adds up to a lot. Here comes Sean Merriman. So this kind of answers our question. He will make it a 40-lap sprint to the end. He was giving up, like I said, a lot of time there towards the end of that run. Dylan Godinez will assume the lead for the first time this evening. And just to give you an idea of what we're talking about on the lap time difference, there it is. Now, that's just an equation that doesn't make sense in the current time. But hey, if Dylan catches a caution, something happens, he looks like a genius. So that's just why you play the different strategies. But he'll be able to go a couple more laps. We'll see how long he wants to stretch it, but definitely has enough fuel to keep making some circuits. Jeffrey Vickery in the same boat. He hit it on the same lap as the 88, so he can keep making circuits as well. And if you're these two, what you're kind of thinking is, I'm going to need a yellow. But more importantly, this battle between Radke and Carty now becomes the battle for the lead. Interesting enough, Shane Wolf a little further back than these guys on the pit cycle. The 3 and 59, this battle on your screen, that becomes the battle for the lead when everything cycles out. And Flanagan right behind this group, that becomes your top 3. these guys have unlapped themselves already, so if a caution comes out, you know, the top 7 here should be just fine, no issues. But just look how fast that ticker on the left side of the screen's cranking. That just shows you the difference in lap times between what the 88's able to pace versus what these guys in the fresh tires are doing. And here's that battle for the top 2. Already is closing. We'll see how hard Radke fights this battle, because he understands now this becomes that battle for the lead, and in all likelihood probably the win, barring any race stoppages, slow down, such. Crossover move by Carty. He goes all the way to the apron. He's going to be side by side with Radke getting into one. And Radke makes that pretty easy on him so far. Radke could be saving just a little bit of tire here, though. We'll see. And then there's Godinez, still pacing. Like I said, can go another couple laps here, probably. And looks like this time the 88 will come down pit road. I'd imagine Vickery will follow suit. Behind him, there's Jeffrey. He's going to go around at least one more time. And hope he gets lucky. But like I said, on this pit cycle, as smooth as a green flag pit cycle can be. No penalties, no wrecks, no major issues. Everybody got on and communicated well, so all is good in the neighborhood as far as that goes. We haven't seen a lot of green flag pit stops this year, just the way some of the races have shaken out, and maybe not something these guys get to do a lot, but they're doing a really good job of it here tonight. Vickery continuing to pace. He's about 13 seconds in front of the leader. Is still giving up 1.5 seconds a lap, so it won't be long. And I can't imagine he can go too much further on the tires and the tank of gas he has in that machine since last pitting on lap 13. Take a chance here to thank a couple more of our sponsors. Not getting a lot of commercial time tonight, which is a good thing, so we'll just shout them out. Thermo Pro, best-selling wireless meat thermometers and digital hydrometers for household use by consumers with top quality products at a very competitive price. You can use code ThermoProTeam to save 15% on your order. Our series sponsor, HairClub. Take control of your hair loss at HairClub. Total Hair Solutions can help you regrow and restore your hair. You can speak with a specialist today. You can use code SRN10 to save 10% on your order from HairClub. And here comes Vickery to the pit lane. So this will complete the pit cycle with 30 laps remaining when Hardy hits the stripe, which he just did. And see how all this balances back out. So like I said, Cardi will assume the lead. Radke there second. Shane Wolf has gotten by David Flanagan, so that will now shake the third place out. And now in these last 30 laps, what we watch is lap times. We watch who's the fastest and who can catch who and what the time deltas look like. And why that's important is if you look at the scoring, you know, the top 5 are being within 3 seconds. I think that's doable. Anything beyond that, they're in need of a race slowdown for them to have a shot at a win this evening. And looking at lap times in the top 5, Carty and Shane Wolf being the fastest two, pretty much matching each other, about 2 tenths quicker than Radke and Flanagan. That's why you're seeing this whole group kind of come together. See how that goes. Last time by James, Shane Wolf, a tenth faster than our leader, the fastest car in the top three. So if we compare drivers here, Hardy and Shane Wolf, this will kind of show you what the difference is. And if that remains green as it does that lap, he is closing. Thing you have to think about here, though, is the 59 saving a touch, knowing he's got a touch to give. So if the 14 does get close enough, he still has enough that he can put the medal down and go away. But the biggest concern now for Shane Wolf is going to be getting by the 3 of Jeffrey Radke for second, because that's ultimately what's going to help him get to Carty the quickest. The contact with the wall there by the 14 looks like. Dealing with Jeffrey Vickery, who is on the fresher tires. He just came off pit road, so he's going to be a little bit quicker than the leaders. Which is always a tough situation to be in, because you're racing the leaders with respect, because, well, they're the lead lap cars, but you're going to be a lot quicker on much fresher tires, and you see that there as the 51 works by. But that little awkward moment there, that little shakeup did cost Shane Wolf some time. Ooh, Carty. A little fence there. You saw that in the corner of the screen. Doesn't issue an incident point, so it must not have been too bad of contact. But like I said, awkward situation when you have a lap car that's so much quicker than the leaders. And if you're Vickery, of course you're trying to get your lap back there, because if a caution comes out and you're on the lead lap, you come back down and with the guys that are on the lead lap in the pit cycle and are fine. You know, if you have to get the lucky dog, that does mean starting at the tail end of the entire field. So there's an advantage there to fighting to get your lap back. So understandably so why the 51's trying to be somewhat aggressive there. As you're the leader, you're frankly not looking in your mirror much, because nothing's catching you very quickly. That's an example of where that could possibly happen. Battle for second is heating up between 3 and 14 once again. On the championship battle, Connor Cunningham still 2 positions in front of Sean Merriman, so the cut line there has not changed. Take a look through a few more of those positions here in a moment. Go ahead and pop it up on your screen now. Points. Why are we talking about it? This is the final race of the regular season, so after tonight we cut to these top 15. There's a last chance qualifier that'll throw a 16th driver in there next week. We'll talk about that at the end of the race. Notably, Jason Green not in the field tonight, so we'll see how that affects him. The rest of these guys just trying to scrap and fight for every point they can get. A lot of these guys are just fine by starting and finishing this race. Say the top 12 kind of in that realm. Ben Park, Sean Corcoran, haven't talked much about them tonight. That would require one of those other drivers to have a really, really good run, and Sean Merriman would be the only one that could be doing that. Now, he is currently in 7th, but Ben Park in 9th, so not a big enough difference there to make up that many points. But we got 19 laps left, so the race is not over yet. Battle for second still on. And like I said, if the 14 wants a chance to get to the 59, he's going to have to get by the 3 in a hurry, and that's just not been a good proposition at this point. Looks like he's going to look inside here. And I don't think this is going to be enough. Connor Cunningham battling with the lapped car of Michael Seidor here in front of the 86. That's not a position battle, but obviously just want to keep that nice and clean. John Merriman, the guy who needs 4 points on that 24 car, he is past Kyle Spees. He's up to P6, but he's going to need more if he wants to get to the championship race. And you do note he has fresher tires. And we got a caution. Like I said, this one's not quite over yet. Sean Long, James Jackson involved in this. Jackson spinning across the front stretch in that 29 machine. Let's take a look. Off turn 4 here. Ooh. Well, I'd like to say I kind of know what happened there, but I don't think I have an answer. Get an idea here. I don't know where the 84 was planning on being there, but clear James Jackson had no idea that was going to be that spot. One you just kind of wonder about. But it does kind of bring in a wrinkle to this race now, as the entirety of the field is going to come to pit lane here, of no surprise to anybody. This is going to be 4 tires and fuel for everybody, and we're basically going to have a 14-lap sprint to the end of this one, and playoff implications are sure to be included, I would imagine, in that. So here, if you're the leaders, just you want to get on pit road nice and easy. No penalties. Take this second here to reset it. Hear from a partner of ours here at Speed Racing Network. We'll be right back with you in just a moment.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Yeah, that's a... Yeah, just a gray area. I don't know. back to action here at Kentucky. Getting things reset. We'll go green with 13 laps to go. Race car down to the safety of pit road. Drake Carty will lead this field back to green. 13 to go when we hit the stripe. And we have a classic SRN finish in store for you here this evening. Sean Corcoran, Andrew Harris in trouble as Vickery hits the pit lane. And caution is back out. Corcoran still sideways on the front stretch. Let's take a look at what happened here. Ooh, the 48 gets loose, and the 74, I guess, doesn't know the 87's there, and they go around for a little ride. Off the corner, 48 gets loose right in front of these guys, and it all kind of jams up, and they end up in the outside wall together. Harris spins down the inside, and Wally Babb. He made contact there. That was pretty close. Right on board here with the 99 and C. Ooh. Maybe. Looks like it's possible. I see a little change in the hood placement there. But that was, either way, that was pretty close. Wally did not come down the pit lane, though. So, if there was contact made, not severe enough to cause major issues. This will take us under 10 to go before we get this thing restarted on a quick pace tonight. Just over an hour of live action here on Speed Racing Network. Again, if you have not already, please like and subscribe. Turn those bell notifications on for when we go live, because you're not going to want to miss a bit of the postseason racing action. Next week, we do not have any official scheduled race. We are planning to put a little something fun up. Some kind of fun race that maybe has nothing to do with this series at all, but something a little different. And we are back in action the week after to start the playoffs. And let's talk about that playoff schedule, because this gets fun. On February 18th, we are at Chicagoland. Then we go the following week to Atlanta. Then we have a week off. And we finish round 1 with Dover, Delaware. Then round 2, we go to Nashville Superspeedway on March 18th. The following week to Michigan. And the week after that, on April Fool's Day, we are at the Charlotte Motor Speedway Oval. That concludes the second round in the playoffs. So after that, we end up with 5 drivers competing for the championship. It's a 2-race round this year for the final 5. We go to Legacy Phoenix, which is Phoenix before the reconfiguration, and the open dogleg on April 8th. And then the next week, we conclude with the championship race at Texas Motor Speedway. 120 lap event there. Of our remaining 8 races that include the entirety of the playoffs, 5 of them are night races. The other 3 take place in the afternoon time frame, so plenty of racing under the lights left this season. All that action can be caught here on Speed Racing Network. And we'll give a little brief overview of the playoff format as we get closer to the conclusion of tonight's event. But Drake Carty still under control here, and he will have to have another restart. And as the leader, just got to be careful that you do everything right. And don't get a black flag on that restart zone, which we've seen bite that 59 truck before. So, we'll take the green here with 9 to go. Drake Carty will lead us back. David Flanagan making his appearance in the top 2 there on the outside. Radke Spees in that second row. The green flag is back out in Kentucky. Connor Cunningham in trouble in the middle of the pack. He had contact with the 5, and Cunningham is around. Oh no. Playoff implications for sure. And this, unfortunately, is going to include everybody. You see the 24 there loose in the middle of the field. Eventually, he's going to get tagged, and there it goes. Man, and look at this in the back. Shane Wolf, Corcoran, Luttrell, Babb, DeLong. Just a parking lot on the backstretch. Man. We're going to get a chance to take a good look at this. The 5, that definitely looks like netcode contact there. Might have been contact anyway, and then his teammate, the 17, was down there on the bottom. And wow, Godinez gets a hit. DeLong, massive hit to the inside wall. I mean, the good news for Connor, though, the truck doesn't look terrible, so he's definitely going to be able to continue. Don't see a required repairs penalty on the 24. Here again, just another view watching the field implode. And this is just late race action with narrow racetrack. Dan Park in that as well. Jason Kradke, a lot of damage. Zach Tallman. And when it becomes a parking lot like that, unfortunately, there's just not a lot you can do. So, a lot of these drivers right now, pit lane, they're going to try to get what they can fixed. Of the worst damaged vehicles, it's looking like Wally Babb, Austin DeLong, and Jason Kratke. Everybody else, hopefully cosmetic, but there were some hard hits in there nonetheless. So hearing, from the little bit of race chatter I can overhear, they're talking about netcode on the 24 in that incident. And we'll see, there's 2 places this could occur. This would be place number 1 with the 5. No, that's contact there for sure. Then hold on, let's go a little bit. Connor gathers it back up. And this is where this teammate of Benjamin Park on the bottom comes in. This could be where they're talking about the netcode here. Oh my goodness. That is probably one of the worst netcodes I've ever seen. Wow. Well, that explains it. Yeah, unfortunately, there's nothing you can do about that. 24 truck looking sharp. So what do we mean when we're talking about netcode? Well, what we mean is these trucks don't actually touch, but the differences between internets in the worlds that iRacing exists on, well, it thinks they are going to touch. So that's what happens there. Anyway, we're back. We're about to go green here in just a moment. Netcode, unfortunately, it's a product of the service. You just hate to see it happen, and hate to see it happen where it could cost Connor a playoff spot. Now, he does have the chance of the last chance qualifier next week still, so not all doom and gloom, but it definitely puts Sean Merriman, who's in 5th right now, in a much happier position. Back up front, Radke now is the one appearing on the outside. Flanagan will be bottom inside this time. And Kyle Spees, who we talked about in a little bit of middle of the field earlier. Resume, and we'll get back to live action here a little slow for some reason. And we're back going. Oh, the 5 is going to go around in front of the field, and there we go again. Man. Well, that one's pretty self-explanatory, I think. And unfortunately, it's going to catch the 87 and the 48 up in this, but the 5 just crazy block here on the backstretch to the 36. And heavy damage for the 48 and 87, just innocent bystanders in it. Late in the race, you see the block start to come out, and that's what happens. I mean, he had him totally crossed up, and when you come back in front of the field like that, somebody else is going to get involved every time. And that's exactly what happened there. I don't think there's another take you could have on that. Looks like 36 tried to stay off him the best he could, but it's really tough to tell. But you kind of have to put that on the truck making the block. General rule of thumb is you can block once but not twice, and when you see drivers work right to left multiple times, usually result in multiple blocks, and I would say that's probably an indication of what happened there. So we'll reset it here because we got to kind of reset who's where now that we've had all this shuffling around. Drake Carty's still our leader. We know that. That's kind of stayed status quo. Radke's in second, where he started on the last restart. Spees, the driver getting blocked, is up to third, and you know he's a driver who, with a win here, could improve his playoff position. So important there for him. Sean Merriman, the guy who's trying to pass Connor, needs to finish 5 spots ahead of him, is in fourth, trying to do all he can. Andrew Harris, who we saw take a pretty good lick in that last caution, did not come down pit road, so he's going to stay fifth, which, yes, it knocked the tailgate off the truck, so there's that, but it's late, so. Kyle Johnson in sixth, who also took heavy damage, but he's just going to send it in this last green-white checker. Ben Park in seventh. Dylan Godinez in eighth. Vickery is in ninth, and Mr. Scott Kalal, who's put together some good runs as of recently, is rounding out the top 10. So, we will have a green-white checker here, that's for sure. The first attempt of such. So we are now entering what would be considered overtime period. Here in SRN, we have 3 attempts to do it. On that last attempt, if we have a caution, the race will become official. But if we don't make it to the white, we'll do it as many times as we need to. Few drivers still on the pit lanes, getting a little bit extra damage fixed if they can. Connor being one of those, joining the back of the pack. You see the black truck right there. We'll see if he can make up the spots he needs. Remember, if the 18 beats him by 5 or more positions, that's a swap at the playoff cut line. So, let's see what happens. We'll also talk more about the last chance qualifier here shortly. Our hope is very shortly if we can get it into just one green-white checker finish. All right, Drake Carty leads us back to green. Green white checker from Kentucky. Oh, Kyle Johnson up the track in the back. He's going to get in the fence. Looks like it's just going to be him by himself. So no big damage. The battle continues up front. And here comes Kyle Spees. If we get to the white, this race becomes official. Any other chaos that ensues behind him won't affect the finish of this one. And speaking of chaos behind him, that's what happens. We did reach the white, though. Andrew Harris, Zach Tallman, John Corcoran, Dan Park in trouble in the back. Michael Seidel, Jason Kradke as well. They will not affect the finish of this race. Coming over turns 3 and 4. Drake Carty, who's had such good finishes this week, comes off a one-race suspension and gets it done to conclude the regular season at Kentucky. Kyle Spees will finish second, Radke third, Merriman fourth, Ben Park rounds out your top 5. And let's go back and look on this last lap. I said there was some damage in the back. Oh, it looks like just residual damage from the 87, that earlier incident, and unfortunately it's going to wrap up a few of these guys. That was well off the finish of the race. So Carty will do his thing. He will celebrate. We'll talk to him here momentarily. We're also going to be doing the points as we go. We'll get interviews cranked here in a second. So watch this celebration. Bear with us as we get things together. We'll be right back with you.
This is my situation. Hey, Drake.
Hey, how you doing? Hey, good race, man.
Yeah, wasn't too bad. How'd you handle the trucks? Managed to get
Dude,
this W.
dude, I love this track. I don't know what it is. Um, there's something about this track with me that just I do really good on the tires for some reason. I just click with it. I don't know why. It's hard to tell. Every driver I'd say has one of these tracks, and this is definitely one of mine.
Yeah. How did you manage to save the tires so well?
Like I said,
It was hard out there.
yeah, I just clicked with this track, and I think mainly I just taken it easy, managed to turn 3 and 4. That's probably the biggest corner out of all of them to manage, and definitely the biggest benefits on the other side if you manage to do it well.
Yep. Well, congratulations on the win. You have people to thank.
Yeah, it's been so long since I've been here. I feel like I've had a rough middle of the season, but learned, captured the last one of the regular season, so definitely
Yeah,
a
you
good
got
way
some
to end
momentum
it.
going into the playoffs.
Yeah, definitely going to take that. I'd like to thank Ibach Springs, DG Motorsports. They a fantastic team, just helping me my rookie season, just develop, and Austin DeLong Performance. Sorry. And yeah, that's about it. But everyone, my parents, everyone who's watching at home, friends, family, just everyone. Thank you. It's great to be back here, and we're not leaving. Going to the playoffs hard.
All right. Well, good luck in the playoffs and congratulations on today's win.
Thank you.
Well, I tell you what, Ben, you got off easy because of the top three. He's the only one we can locate. So your interview employment is unfortunately going to be short this evening. But we'd like to thank you for interviewing our winner, Drake Carty. While we have you, Ben, let's talk about tonight for you while we're still working on points. Unfortunately, major net code with Connor, which
Yeah,
was none of y'all's
that was-
fault. It just happens. Talk to us a little bit about that. And Connor, I would imagine, was probably a little upset.
Yeah, Connor was upset. I was upset. It was completely unintentional. I'm just glad that Connor made it back up to P8. Hopefully that's enough to keep him in the playoffs. I think it's going to be like a tie between him and Sean Merriman.
Yeah, it's going to
Gonna
be
super tight.
pretty close. The thing I kind of reference back is that lap that
Oh,
Connor
the
led
incidents.
on that opening lap. That was big because that's a bonus point. And so that's
So
going to
is
help
that
him out a
incidents,
lot.
the 0 incidents that Sean Merriman got in this race?
Yep, that's going to be a 1 point for him. So
That's rough.
I don't want to tell you what I see right now because
It looks like Connor's missing it by 1.
the whole cut is really tight. Really tight. So we are going to double check this to make sure we're right before we post it. But thank you for your help with the interviews this evening, and we'll see you next time we're out. We got a week off next week. Might throw a fun race up, but we'll see you when we get to Chicagoland.
All right.
So that was Mr. Ben Park, who was handling part of the post-race interview for us. So we're going to go double check some points here. So if you'll give us about 5 to 6 minutes, we're going to do that. And then once we have these points complete, we're going to pop them up on your screen, and you're going to be one of the first ones to see them. So give us a few minutes. We'll be right back with you. All right, I return with some news. All right, we have the points tally here for you. Let's show it to you. So, after the 16 regular season races, this is how things sit. And as you can see, it's a little bit different than what we've seen before. And there it is for you. So that's it. James Shane Wolf, Drake Carty, Lane Doyle, Jeffrey Radke, Andrew Harris, David Flanagan, Kyle Johnson, Chris Luttrell, they're in on their win. Spees Park Brothers, Dylan Godinez, Sean Merriman, Sean Corcoran, Connor Hunningham, and on points, Jason Reen is just out. Wally Bab DeLong, Vickery, Kalal, Sidor, Kratke, Long, McKinney, also just outside the cut line. Now, for 16th through 24th, they're not done. Next week, we have our last chance qualifier. And what that last chance qualifier means is any of those drivers, the highest place finisher of those guys, they still have the ability to get in if they are the highest place finisher in that group. So, like I said, we have a week off next week, and then the playoffs come back. We start with Chicagoland. We're going to put out a little short broadcast in the meantime to talk a little bit about the process, who's in, who's out. We'll give you a little playoff preview at that point. But we'd like to thank you for joining us this evening here at Kentucky and all the sponsors that make this possible. We'll see you when we get to Chicagoland in 2 weeks' time. Take care.